let's dive into today's topic. And today's topic is going to be about something called decision fatigue. Okay, I've touched on this briefly before, but I think it's really important to talk about it again and talk about it more in depth. I know it doesn't sound super interesting and it's like, hey, what is that? It kind of sounds a little boring, right? But very important to know what this is, because pretty much the sole factor determining whether or not you're successful on your journey or not is how well you make decisions, right? Whether you make a good decision or a bad decision. So decisions are what makes or breaks you, really, right? So we need to know how to make the right decisions, how to avoid the bad decisions, and how to become the person who makes right decisions more often, right? So that's what we're going to talk about. Now, decision fatigue, our goal is to avoid this, and it's one of the most detrimental things you can ever run into just in anything in life. So today's call is about bringing awareness to it and helping you avoid it so you can be a better, more consistent decision maker. Okay, now I'm going to give you an example of what decision fatigue is so you get a better idea of it. Okay, so I want to talk about the company Apple. Okay, they produce iPhones, right? We all know this, most popular cell phone in the world. They have millions and millions of clients, right? Millions of people have iPhones, right? And you would think if you've got millions and millions of clients, you want lots of different options to satisfy all these clients, right? But here's the thing. If you take a look at the iPhone color selections, it's very limited. There's only a handful of color choices that you can choose from. And this is not because Apple is lazy. It's not because they can't afford to produce more colors, right? This is why they've done it. So answer this question for me. If there was a black phone, a silver phone, or a pink phone in front of you, which one would you choose? Put in the comments. Which one out of those three colors would you choose? Not a hard question. Getting super excited about that one. Awesome. See, there you go. Now, second question. If you had a black phone, a silver phone, a pink phone, a magenta phone, periwinkle phone, sea foam green, blue, sky blue, do you get what I'm going? Turquoise, we can go on. Get where I'm going with this? It would be a way harder decision to make, right? So Apple has done this strategically so that you are less likely to stall on making a decision and more likely to make that purchase as soon as possible, because you have less decisions to make to get in the way of stopping that decision, right? So same thing goes with health. So if you're sitting there and you're looking at keto, fasting, Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, cleanses, detoxes, teas, wraps, waist trainers, we can go on, Bernstein's, Paleo, Atkins. If you have all of this in front of you, thrown at you, you're being bombarded with all these different things, how could you possibly make a decision? That is what decision fatigue is. When you have too many choices that you either make no choices or it takes you 10 times longer to make a choice. Does that make sense, ladies? Yes? Okay. So that is the first bad thing with decision fatigue, right? It's either going to be the reason that you stop making decisions or it's going to slow you down. And we can't afford to slow down with your health, right? So now, the second thing that comes with decision fatigue is probably the most dangerous thing. And this is what it is. So there was a study done on two groups of people, okay? And these two groups of people, they were put in an art gallery and they were just walking around, right? The first group went through the museum, they finished, the curator of the museum came to them at the end and said, "Thank you so much for coming. As a reward and a thank you for coming, here's a copy of one of the paintings." And they gave everybody a copy of the painting, all right? That was group number one. Group number two, same thing, went through the art gallery. At the very end, the curator was like, "Thank you for coming. As a thank you, here are two pictures you can choose from. And if you don't like the one you choose, you can come back later this week and swap it out." Right? So that was the study. After performing that study, the following week, group number one, who just had the option of one painting, and they were given it, were raving about their experience, were taking pictures and sharing how much they loved their painting. And then guess what option or group number 2 did? High percentage of them all came back to return their painting and get the other one. So what does that tell you? Not only does too many decisions make you either not make decisions or make very slow decisions, worst of all, it makes you regret your decisions or second guess your decisions. And when you second guess your decisions, you are second guessing yourself and you lose confidence in your ability to point yourself in the right direction. Does that make sense, ladies? It's like going to a restaurant. You've ever been to a restaurant before and they have the world's longest menu? You ever been to one of those restaurants? You get this atlas of a menu, takes 10, 15 minutes to go through it all. They got sandwiches and burgers and pastas and entrees and desserts and drinks and blah and blah. And it's like, holy smokes, how much freaking food can their fridge hold? And then you finally decide what to order. It comes to the table and it looks delicious. But then in the corner of your eye, you see a waiter carrying someone else's food to their table. And you're like, oh man, I wish I got that. You ever been there? That is decision fatigue. The grass is always greener. Don't give yourself a chance to peek at the grass, or you will always ask yourself, what if? And you will always never be fully involved in something. So this is what we need to avoid. Okay, ladies, we need to avoid this at all costs. How can we make less decisions in our life? And how can we make less decisions on a daily basis surrounding our health? It needs to be already pre-planned for you. That's the goal here, right? And so here's an example, right? So if you start a program and then you hear someone else being successful on something else, right? Then you get really confused. Then you're like, should I finish what I'm doing? Should I try and combine that other thing that other person is doing? Should I leave what I'm doing and go full force on that? And then it never ends well. If you start keto and then can't wait to finish to start fasting, well, then you're never going to get the benefits of keto or whatever that thing is. You're never going to get the benefit of everything because you're always thinking about the next thing. You are never fully committing to one thing, right? Or you're not diving head in on this new lifestyle and you're clinging on for dear life to hold on to the old lifestyle. Same thing. Too many decisions. You have to cut the ties and go head first, so you can't ever see that the grass is greener, because it will always be. The grass will always be greener, always. So you gotta learn to water your own grass and make it the greenest for you. That's the goal here, right? And so it goes back to, I'm sure you guys have heard this story before, but it's about burning the ships, right? So there's this captain, took his army to war. They had to get to the battle on ships. As soon as everybody unloaded from the ship, guess what the captain did? He set all the ships on fire. And he said, the only way you're getting back home is if you go back home on your enemy's boats. That's a hell of an incentive to win the war. You can't get home unless you beat your enemy and you take their boats. Because we cut the ties to get home by ourselves with our boats. Have you done that with this journey? Can you honestly say you have burned all of your ships and you only way you win is if you get to your goal and there is no other option stopping you from getting to that goal? There's no timeline. It's just you will get there. You won't stop until you get there. Can you honestly say you've done that? Can you say maybe you kept a lifeboat around somewhere hidden? Maybe you got a lifeboat somewhere for a rainy day? That rainy day is going to come bite you in the butt. And that's what you need to be aware of. You need to give yourself no other option. Otherwise, there are options. And when there are options, you either won't make a decision, you will make a decision too slowly, or you will always regret the decision you go with. None of those are good outcomes. Okay? So, you have to sit with yourself and you have to ask yourself to avoid these things, right? We don't want to feel like we made a bad decision. We don't want to doubt our decision-making skills, right? So you have to ask yourself, how can I decrease the amount of decisions I have to make in a day, and how can I decrease seeing what the other possibilities of those decisions were had I not made the ones that I made. So let's start with the first question, right? How do I decrease making decisions in a day, right? So this is as simple as taking the easy stuff, right? Like you shouldn't have to decide what to wear. You shouldn't have to decide what to eat. You shouldn't have to decide when to wake up. All this stuff should be pre-planned so you can save your decision energy. Think of your decisions as money from the bank. You only want to withdraw a little bit. You only have a limit in the day. You don't want to be broke by the end of the day. That's when you make bad decisions. When you've made too many decisions all day, then you're wondering if you made the right decision. You're wondering what other decisions there are. You're thinking about a decision because you haven't made it yet. When all of this is going on, you don't have a clear mind. You've drained your bank and you can't make good decisions. And then you become the person that doesn't make decisions or makes really slow decisions, or can't even seem to make a good decision, just makes bad decisions because it's easier. That's the type of person you want to avoid. And the only way that you avoid that is by taking out as many decisions as possible, so that when you do have to make a genuine, tough decision, like, do I eat that or do I not eat that in the moment, you have money in the bank to save yourself. You got that emergency fund. Have you been building up your emergency fund, or you carelessly spend it? Right? You don't so lay out your clothes the night before. It's little things like that. Do I wear this? Do I wear this? No, it's I wear this. You've already decided it. What's for breakfast? No, this is for breakfast. What's for lunch? No, this is for lunch. Little decisions add up, right? $1 adds up over time. If you spend $1 every day on coffee, guess what? It adds up over time. Where if we save that, we'd be X amount richer. You'd have X more powers in your decisions. That's the goal here, ladies. Okay? So don't regret your order at the restaurants. Don't look at it, right? Simple things like even going to restaurants, right? Go in with a plan. Don't give yourself an option to doubt yourself. Make a decision and stick with it and see it through and burn your ships so there's no other options. So you actually can finally see something through long enough to find out what your actual issues are, not just surface level stuff. Because there's issues that we have that we will never know about unless we keep as many variables the same as possible. That's how every scientific study is done, right? You're experimenting with your health right now, trying to figure out what works for you, trying to figure out what's going to stick. If you change your variables all the time, if you don't know what's causing what, you will have no idea how to proceed and go forward. And you will think everything you try is useless, so you will stop trying. That is when you lose. The only goal that you should ever be having is, how can I make myself not give up? How can I make my life formatted so it's easier for me not to give up? And it starts with as simple as making one less decision in a day. One less decision, whatever that is. Not what time I'm going to take the dog for a walk. This time. You've already done it. It's not a decision. You have to decide nothing. You have to wait. No, you have to waste no mental power. You just go for it. What time's dinner? This time is dinner. What time is my workout? This time is my workout. And over time, when you get good at this, that's when you have a foolproof routine that you can stick to no matter what. And then on top of that, you're making like 1, 2, maybe 3 decisions in a day. And there's so much less stress in that. Imagine not having to decide anything. You already know what you're going to do. Imagine how calming that is when you know exactly what's going to happen. Obviously, things don't always go to plan, but you plan like they're going to go to plan. And that's how you win in the long term, by saving up your decision money. Every decision you don't make is like putting money back in the bank. You got to build up your savings so one day you can do something with that savings. right? You're in an experimental phase right now. Enjoy it. Relax. Make it easy for yourself. Don't make it hard. If it feels hard, it's hard up here. You're overcomplicating it. Yes, in the moment, is it hard to say no to that pizza? Probably. If we look at the journey as a whole, is it hard? Meh. I mean, you choose your hard. You choose your hard. You know what's really hard? Being out of breath after you walk up a set of stairs. You know what's really hard? Not being able to carry your laundry upstairs. You know what's really hard? Not keeping up with your grandkids. That's also hard. So everything is hard. And if everything is hard, nothing is hard then. So you just get to choose your hard. And stop calling it hard. Just take it. Accept that that's the hard you're choosing. And if you are actively choosing it, you can't call it hard. You chose it. You chose that life. It can have challenges, which it 110,000% will, which we all can attest to. But that's what you've chosen. You made that decision. Make it wholeheartedly. We're not opting out. We're not turning back. We're getting rid of our little paddle boat we've saved for a rainy day. And you are giving yourself no other option but to reach your goal. That's the difference between somebody who eats shit 1,000 times and still is successful, and one person who maybe eats shit a couple times and gives up because they didn't burn their ships. Once it got hard, they retreated back to what was left for them, and it was still there for them to go back to. If it gets hard and challenging, where sometimes you can't feel like you can't handle it, if there's something there to go back to when you are weak and you can't protect yourself, you will always go back there. That is human nature. Homeostasis. We go back to balance. We go back to what we're comfortable with. Fight or flight. We want to protect ourselves. It's animalistic instincts. If there is something there to protect you in a negative way, comfort you in an old way, like the old you with old habits, that needs to be cut. That can't be an option. Otherwise, guarantee it. It's just a matter of time until you crawl, walk, or run back to it. So this is a wake-up call for some of you, or a reminder for some of you that you have hidden paddle boats somewhere that you haven't dealt with, or you didn't think it was a problem, right? Where in your life are you not diving head in? And what would be the first little step to do that so that you actually physically can't go back, right? You can't cheat on your meal plan if there's nothing in the fridge. That's how you can't go back there. Same idea with this. How can you not go back? What needs to be done? What conversations need to be had? What things need to be adjusted, reorganized, talked about? Take it to that level. Take it to that level, ladies. Burn your freaking ships. You're going to war with your old self. You're going to war with your old self. Burn your ships. Don't give yourself an option. The new you has to be the only path. There only has to be tools in your life that promote the new you. There should only be the majority of tools and options should be towards this new healthy lifestyle. Okay, ladies? So quickly in the comments, I want you to write your takeaways. All right? Are you holding on to something? Are you making too many decisions in a day? Do you find yourself suffering from decision fatigue a lot in health-related things or otherwise? It can happen at work a lot, right? Making a big decision and then there's too many options. It can happen with your children, right? Like there's too many options of what to do, what to put them in, right? If you put your kid in piano, they're going to learn piano. If you say, do you want piano, gymnastics, guitar, or drums, and this, and karate, they're not going to pick. And they're not going to find a hobby. And they're not going to get good at anything. They're going to be okay at everything. Do you want to be okay at everything? Or do you want to be really, really great at a couple things? That's what we're trying to do here. No more being mediocre at your health. That's the one thing in life that you can't afford. You either make time for your wellness or you make time for your illness later on, right? You get to decide that now. So really think, ladies, in my day-to-day life, where can I cut out decisions? And that's how you can start implementing what we talked about today and how we can eliminate decision fatigue from sabotaging you. That's what's been sabotaging you. Plateaus, when we fall off, when we binge, it's the decisions. There were too many decisions. You know, the two decisions from should I have the pizza that was bought or should I have my pre-made meal? That's too much in the moment for you. It's too much in the moment for you, right? The only option available should have been prepped meal, right? So how can we start to shift things in your life to that? Okay, in a way that's not stressful, not overwhelming, and not too drastic. Because we could go fully drastic on this, but it doesn't always work that way, right? Life doesn't work that way. We got other people in the house sometimes. So what are some things you can do to start thinking like that? Sometimes 2 decisions is too much. Just 2. Between 2 things. 1 or 2 is still too much, right? If I all gave you a brand new black iPhone, would you care? Probably not. It's a brand new free iPhone. You're not going to care about the color, right? Because you didn't have a decision in it. If I gave some people free white phones and some people free black phones, some people will be like, oh man, I wish I had the white one. Damn it. And you just question it. And that's not, it serves no purpose. Serves no purpose up here. Okay, ladies? So, take that with you, sit with it, implement one less decision tomorrow.